Hello, and welcome to the first ever People Often Suck podcast, where we talk about the suckiest suck that currently sucks.
And I'm TC, the other host on the other side. And since this is our first episode, we'll tell you just a brief description of who we are. So I spent a better part of 35 plus years working at Disney, where I've had the opportunity to see some of those not so pleasant people out in the parks. We might even get to some of those stories one day. But that is where I come from. And then, of course, I want to hear some positive stories, which we will eventually get to as well.
I also have a history with Disney, not quite as long as yours, but nonetheless, I'm just a guy who, trying to make it through this world best he can. I've held numerous jobs in my time, married with a lovely fur baby at home. He brings me joy, and grief. And I'm sure parents can understand that. Anyway, why don't you start us off with the first story? So,
the Menendez Brothers, who were very famously known, if that's even a word, I guess that is a word, infamously known. So back in the 1980s, I want to say 89, these two brothers grew up in a very well-to-do Beverly Hills neighborhood. And it was said that their family, who, the parents were Jose and Kitty. Jose was very successful in the industry. They were known to, at least from all accounts that I've gone through and tried to recollect going back to the time when I was, an older 20-something-year-old, they were known to be a very happy family, and they got along really well and did family trips together and all sorts of things. Until one evening in 1989, while Jose and Kitty were sitting at in their couch watching TV, and they had strawberries and cream as they were eating and stuff, the brothers came in and essentially blew them away. I mean, not just shot them once, not just a simple, like, in the head and you're done. It was quite grotesque in how they murdered their parents.
It was with a shotgun, right?
Yes. At one point, as I was reading in one of the stories from back then, because I didn't want anything that was more written just recently, one of the brothers literally put the shotgun to his mother's face and blew her eyes and nose off. I mean, it's pretty grotesque. And what's interesting is that there was reports from a neighbor that heard like firecracker noises, because it was inside the house, of course, this mansion. And this allegedly happened sometime between 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. The 911 call came in sometime around midnight or just thereafter from one of the brothers. Hysteric about somebody has, they just allegedly, again, I say allegedly, they came home from watching Batman Forever, the movie. And
I mean, I can understand.
The movie alone could have made you distraught. I mean, it was Batman Forever.
Yeah, they weren't sending their best with that one.
No, it wasn't one of their better Batman movies. You're right. So that alone, I would have been distraught. But then coming home and obviously finding your parents completely blown away in several different ways in a very grotesque scene, yes, you're very upset. And so, yes, one of the brothers called and was very distraught. And according to one of the neighbors, yes, the other brother was curled up in a ball, crying and screaming out in the front yard. And you're kind of seeing that visual.
Yeah, I'm seeing that in my mind, and the amount of that went into this.
Oh, exactly. And at first, the crime investigation went down the route of, we're looking for somebody who broke in, possibly even the mafia type mob style killing. And it probably didn't help the brothers when not long afterwards they started going on rather expensive shopping sprees.
Well, they were hurt, and people mourn.
Everybody grieves in their own ways, right?
Yeah, their own special way. And granted, I probably wouldn't go on an Amazon shopping spree, but hate to each their own.
Well, they didn't have Amazon back then, so that would have been,
I
it
know.
would have required a little bit more effort to go out and actually buy things.
Horrible times.
Yes. In fact, to the tune of $700,000.
What? Now, what could you get with that exactly?
Well, a new Porsche, even a restaurant. One of them bought a restaurant near a college that he went to back then. I don't know. I don't know exactly what they were getting out of that, or did they have any sort of experience actually running a restaurant? But
you don't need experience.
no, not at all. So when they both got charged, and I don't know if this was more of the DA or the defense that pushed for this, but both boys got had their day in court separately. So it was two different trials going on simultaneously. And the defense, which I can't remember her name, but she was the blonde chick, and she just was, you could just tell she was just a definite sleazeball defense lawyer type of person. And helped to concoct, I'm sure, this defense story that the boys were abused sexually and physically and all sorts of stuff. And if I remember rightly, I think it was Lyle who was up there on the stand crying and all this stuff. And I remember seeing it on the news back then. And I was like, okay, give me a break. It's pretty good, acting job. Well, obviously, it was a good enough acting job in the sense that both of their juries were hung juries. So they had to go back and be retried. But this time, they were retried together.
Now, I'm young enough where I wasn't aware of the going-ons of this event, but I'm old enough to know the name Menendez.
Right.
And I clearly remember seeing the pictures of them standing together. So that's what I remember.
Yep. And that was the trial that ultimately the jury cited that they were guilty.
Yeah.
And as the claim today is, and why they're now being considered possibly by, LA's wonderful former DA Gascon, is that perhaps the whole I was abused claim was not allowed to be as prevalent in the case back then when they got retried, and therefore that's why they got convicted. And, all I'm going to say is none of us were in that household at the time.
Right.
And if truly the father was doing anything, then he's burning in hell right now, which is where he should be. But if he was just a stern father, didn't do anything sexual to them, didn't do anything as far as whip the crap out of them or anything like that, you still killed your parents. You still brutally killed your parents.
Yeah, this wasn't a shot them from across the room. Like you
Correct.
were up close and personal.
You took their lives away from them.
I mean, I can't imagine any sort of assault other than to defend your own life. I can't think of anything a parent can do to a child that would result in concocting this plan.
Exactly.
Because again, it was planned out.
There was premeditated murder in there.
There's no doubt. Whether the parents did nothing or they did what they're accusing them of, this was completely planned out and brutally.
Yeah.
And then they celebrated with Porsches and restaurants.
Exactly.
So
and Rolex watches.
Clearly
and
they
whatnot.
weren't. Yeah. Clearly they weren't too.
They were even seen in
hurt about
nightclubs.
it.
They were even seen in nightclubs. I mean, again, I understand the whole thing of everybody grieves differently or whatever, but I'm sorry, I don't see that pattern there of an abused son or sons that were feeling a sense of. I mean, I don't know. I've never committed murder on anyone, but I would think that if I was so distraught in either way, I would have the internal struggle of remorse of what I did, but also relieved because I don't have that abusive thing in my life anymore.
Now, I haven't watched it, but there is a Netflix.
Yes.
I mean,
and that's what actually started this whole thing recently.
I mean, basically, every crime is eventually going to find its way on Netflix. But do you think maybe it was the decision to possibly release these guys that maybe people thought differently? Like, you know what? Maybe I don't want this guy to be the DA.
I don't know. It's a good question. I have no idea. Look, Gascon is a POS as well, and we could probably do stories on him all day long. And the people of LA have spoken, thankfully, to get him out. I think that when we look at the Menendez brothers, I don't have any sympathy that they've been in prison for 35 or so years now. And
actually, I would think it's almost kind of serendipitous in a way. It's like their entire life,
their adult life, absolutely,
has been completely taken from them, like they took away their parents, and now they have to struggle in a completely new world, new economy from scratch. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being dumped into this world as an adult?
Yeah.
Right now.
Just us living in this world right now is
just getting to this point was hard enough.
Right.
You have
on the outside of jail.
Yeah. So, imagine that. It's like, what can you possibly do? Especially with a name like that.
Right.
Everyone's going to know who you are, what you did. Sure, you might get lucky and get a lifetime reality show out of it, like Gypsy Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you might get lucky and do something like that. Well, they'll just follow you around for a few months, and you can afford to eat McDonald's every now and again, but
right,
that money's only going to get you so far.
Well, I would say that for anyone who wants to learn more about the Menendez brothers, don't look at any of the articles that have just come out within the last few weeks, because some of it is a little bit of revision history and all that stuff. I think go back and look for stuff that was written back in 1989, 1990, 91, when it was fresh, when it was more raw and real at that time. And I think you might discover, for those who don't know the full story, just how, in my opinion, I think evil these two boys were, and possibly are still to this day.
I think so. I don't think they learned anything.
Nope. Okay. Well, we'll move on to our next one.
This is very current. Happened just within days of the election. And when I originally saw this headline, I didn't think anything of it, which I don't know if that says more about me or society, but murder-suicide in Minnesota. But when I saw somebody else cover it, and then that's what grabbed my attention. So this happened, like I said, 2 days after the election.
And there was a lot of heightened emotions going on at that time, so I can only imagine.
Yes. So the reason why this guy is making my list is because, well, he didn't do what everyone else who's nuts is doing, like shave his head or swear off sex. In comparison, I would prefer those options.
Well, yes, when it comes to murder, you're right. Probably would want to go down that route instead.
So this happened out in Duluth, Minnesota, and police were called to do a welfare check on Aaron Abramson. And I'm like, I'm blown away by this, because I mean, if I don't show up to work, nobody bats an eye. But I guess Aaron, she misses a day at work. People notice. So
probably very well loved.
A coworker is like, hey, she's not here. She's not answering her phone. Can you please go check on her? Police do. They get to her home and they find Aaron, who's only 47, and her son, Jacob, 15, both dead from multiple gunshots.
Wow.
Not something you expect to find. So,
well, not in Minnesota.
No. And she works in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Lives in Minnesota. And I had to look this up, and it's literally like a 10-minute drive.
Oh, just right over the state line.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
okay.
You jump on the highway there, and 10
not
minutes
the 5. Were you going to say the 5?
No. I was going to say the highway.
The highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's only like a 10-minute drive. And I thought,
okay.
Oh, that's crazy. How nice would it be to drive to work in 10 minutes and you're in a different state?
Oh, that's true.
So police are doing their investigation, and they have a suspect. How they got to this, I don't know. But the suspect was the ex-husband, Anthony Nephew.
The name is Anthony Nephew.
Yes. And
like he's the nephew of somebody who his last name is also Nephew.
Sure.
Just made it very simple, probably in that family.
Well,
this is my nephew, Anthony nephew.
This is my nephew.
Okay. Okay, we've made enough fun of his name. Go ahead.
So if you notice, shares the same name as Jacob nephew, the 15-year-old that they
okay.
found dead.
Yes.
So they went to pay his house a call, and they find Anthony's wife, Catherine, 45. They find Anthony's other son, Oliver, 7, both dead from gunshots. And then they find Anthony, also dead from gunshot, but that one was self-inflicted. So,
interesting.
So Anthony went to his ex-wife's, shot her, shot his son, his 15-year-old son, and shot and killed his current wife and 7-year-old. Now, the order in which he did that is still unclear. This is still ongoing, but it's certain he did this.
So he took out what was his lineage, okay, the 2 boys, killed his ex-wife, which, I would never promote killing your ex-wife, but I'm sure a lot of guys probably have thought about at least slapping their ex-wife, and then killed his own wife. And then theoretically turned the gun on himself.
Yes.
And at least didn't miss. So that's good.
Now, again, when I first saw the headline, I didn't think anything of it. In fact, when I went back to look up this event, I was directed by a multitude of suicide/murders. And it was kind of eye-opening, like how many happened.
You mean since the election or just in general?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So the reason why this one stuck out to me was because Anthony has gone on several rants that were very politically motivated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he was distraught and upset.
Yeah, and I haven't found anything saying he's like a vet or anything. He's just mentally unhinged,
suffering from PTSD issues or anything like that.
Yeah. So he apparently would write for like the local newspaper,
like
op-eds.
Oh, okay.
And then of course, he'd post things on his social media accounts, and I took a couple of those, and it's like, okay, well, we may not be dealing with a full deck here.
Well, obviously, because he took out family members.
Yeah. So, for instance, quote, "My mental health and the world can no longer peacefully coexist, and a lot of the reason is religion. I am terrified of religious zealots inflicting their misguided beliefs on me and my family. I have intrusive thoughts of being burned at the stake as a witch or crucified on a burning cross. Gilead, here we come." Now, the Gilead, which I may be mispronouncing that, it's from A Handmaid's Tale, which I have not seen or watched, but certain people from a political side love Handmaid's Tale, but they love to reference that as if it's like
the modern day Stepford Wife in a roundabout way.
Yes.
I mean, Stepford Wives was supposed to be a comedy, but apparently it sounds like Handmaid's Tale is not a comedy. And this guy took it to the extreme in his own kind of screwed up mental capacity.
Well, yeah, they see this as like almost like written instructions of how we're going to run the country one day. And it's like, oh no, this can't happen. We have to stop it by any means necessary. I mean, it's that mentality this guy was running. And like I said, it's still ongoing investigation. They're trying to piece together the timeline based on like phone records as to which happened first. Did he kill his current family and then his other family and then himself? Or
I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's probably not as important to figure out because they're dead. I mean, did he kill his wife and his youngest son first and then drive over and kill the ex-wife and the older son and then drive back and kill himself? Or did he...
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not sure that really matters either way, right?
The order probably doesn't matter a whole lot, but... and then, like I said, he wrote in local newspapers, and his last post, which I don't know if they're purposely trying to keep out of public record, but it was directed at the Minnesota Star Tribune, And he was not really happy with the fact that they would not come out and openly endorse anyone for the
Well,
presidential
there was a
election.
number of ones that didn't do that this year.
Yeah. And I think it's wise because honestly, I don't want to know anyone's political
Exactly.
persuasion.
We don't need to have endorsements from newspapers. They just need to report the facts.
Well, newspapers, celebrities, corporations. Like
Right.
I don't need to know who Ben and Jerry ice cream are rooting for.
No, I just need to know what their next flavor is. That's it.
Yeah. Just
But
do that.
The saddest thing about this whole story is, I shouldn't say the saddest thing. The saddest thing is that these 4 innocent people are dead now.
Mm-hmm.
But the disturbing aspect of this story is the fact that people, and I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, and I don't even care if it's about politics. I mean, I've seen people who have foamed at the mouth over Star Wars or even Disney stuff or whatever. The fact that people get so caught up in things in this world to the point that if it doesn't go their way, they lose their minds. And to some degree, not just lose their minds, but completely go into another dimension of understanding.
Well, yeah. And imagine that all your authority figures are all telling you that basically the world is ending if so-and-so gets into power.
Exactly. Look, I'm in my 50s. I have been through many presidential elections. I have not always gotten the person that I wanted into the White House. And you suck it up, Buttercup, and you move on. Because at the end of the day,
And here you
300, here I am, kind of sad actually, but at the end of the day, over 310 million, 20 million, 30 million people in this country keep moving. You get up each morning, they go to work, they go, do whatever they need to do. They have families. And I just think that it's sad when these individuals have lost grip with reality and it has pushed them so far that they want to inject harm on other people, even to the extent of murder. I mean, that's just insane.
It really is. I know there's a conversation there about like, oh, well, if he's so mentally unhinged, why is he allowed to have guns? There's a conversation there. But at the same time, when he bought those guns, he probably wasn't unhinged.
Right.
Also, if nobody alerts the police that, hey, my husband's a little nuts, maybe take away his guns. If nobody says that, well, then guess what happens? Nothing.
Right.
Well, something happens, just not the something you want.
Not the something that we wanted to have happen.
Yeah.
Not that way. Well, that's definitely a POS. Thank you for sharing that story.
I honestly wish I didn't have to.
There are POSs in the world that we have to deal with. Okay, so
That's
you have a positive story,
Yes,
right?
that's
to
enough
share?
enough negativity.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
I think the 2 that we just shared with are truly POSs. Let's end on a happy story.
yes, let's bring in the light. So this individual, it hits close to home because, as you know, I'm kind of a gym rat of sorts.
You are? It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I'm not looking to be the next Arnold or anything. I find it very therapeutic.
Right.
And it keeps me on a schedule. I need that repetition in my life.
Okay.
I need structure.
You do need a lot of structure. I noticed that.
And I came across this guy randomly because YouTube likes to, you watch something and recommend something similar. I watch a lot of gym fails because I like to feel better about myself.
Wait. We have to explore that for 1 second.
Okay.
Wait, you like gym failures
Yeah.
because it helps you feel better about yourself?
Yes.
So then you're
Also,
kind of a POS.
It's also a teaching moment because don't do that. Don't be like this person.
Okay,
So,
but you're still a POS because you're still making fun of other people that
I'm not making fun.
Okay.
I'm not the one filming.
Okay, I'm just saying
Okay,
that
and
you might need to be a story one day.
Oh yeah, I'm a story.
Okay. Well, let's hear the good story.
All right, so this guy, Joseph Sergo, aka Joey Swole.
Okay.
YouTuber, Instagram model, TikToker, just a gym influencer altogether. He puts out these videos where he's basically reacting to what other people are filming in the gym. And I don't know if you've noticed recently, people have been really camera happy at the gyms and posting, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting stared at. Oh, I'm so what a creep."
Which I thought, I mean, in the brief time in my life that I went to the gym, I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but I did. I actually had a trainer too.
Yeah.
I thought it was forbidden to be taking pictures in the gym.
Supposed to be.
Now, I will tell you, I was one that did take a picture one day, but it was of a guy who looked like Santa, and it was in January, and I did make a joke about the fact that, look, Santa's in the gym after Christmas. So
yeah, he's working off those cookies.
He's working off those cookies. But anyways, but isn't it supposed to be, I mean, Mr. Gym Rat, it's supposed to be forbidden to take pictures in the gym, right?
Yeah, basically.
So anybody who takes pictures in the gym, I'm just going to say right now, you're a POS, okay? But beyond that,
I mean, if you want to take it of yourself.
Yeah, of yourself, but don't get anybody in the background.
Right. I get it. You worked hard. You want to flex.
Those people are kind of vain too, so those are kind of weird too. But.
Well, you have to be to go to the gym because you're trying to work on yourself.
Okay.
But don't do it with other people in the background,
right.
especially in a locker room. My God.
100%. That shouldn't even be a question. In the locker room? Are you kidding me?
Some things really have to be explained to people. Like,
oh, God.
Really. So, even with a sign right next to them.
So this is supposed to be a positive story, but we're still going to point out those people are POSs that take pictures in locker rooms.
So what happens is people, the POSs out there who are taking videos of other people in the gym, mocking them, or, they're filming themselves and someone would dare walk in their shot. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Or they accuse guys of, creeping on them, looking at them because of what they're wearing. It's like, well, so you're not okay with people looking at you in the gym, but you're okay with people looking at you online in the same outfit? Make that make sense.
Yeah, well, because they're looking for a different, I guess, type of attention
reactions
or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but okay.
So what this guy does, Joey Swole, he lays it down. He sees someone making fun of someone else, and he tells them, "Who do you think you are? I hope the gym sees this video and gets you banned. You need to do better. Mind your own business."
So he's a one-man crusade to try to stop in-gym photos and videos.
Yes.
But he's only at one gym. We need him to go around to.
Well, he does. He does travel.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yes, but this is all videos being sent to him. Like, hey, Joey, check out this video, and yeah, he'll do a reaction video in his car most of the time. But then he'll see videos where a stranger, helps out another stranger while it's being filmed, and he's like, "This is what I love about the gym community, is helping one another."
So he has turned the power. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. So you're saying is he's turned his platform into an outlet that exposes these POSs that are taking pictures or videos in gyms. People are sending them to him, and he's exposing them like, hey, Dip, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when you see somebody speeding on the freeway, and then later on you see them pulled over by
and you
by
feel
a cop.
At least that there's some
and you're like,
justice was happened.
So
that's about 1% out of life, but yes.
And this does happen where he calls them out, and he'll even call that gym.
Oh, really? Wow, he goes that far.
And hey, this is what this person is doing in your gym, and he'll find out that they've been banned.
Wow. Okay, so he's a good guy. I like him.
Yes. So he's spreading positivity by gym communities, like helping out one another, and he's also squashing the haters and the naysayers and just the bad vibes that people are bringing into a gym because they think, oh, it's all about me. This is my space.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now, you certainly have a semi-decently good physique, okay? But here's the deal. I don't, okay? And it's intimidating to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It's intimidating to go to the gym. I don't want to go because I know that, the bodybuilders, might be looking at me and passing judgment and stuff. And I hate that. And
yeah, trust me, I was there. Nobody's paying attention to you.
I know. And after a while, I noticed that nobody is paying attention. You're right. But it's that initial part. And for a lot of people, it's hard to get over that initial thing. Like, I don't have, a great body and I'm going into the gym and they're probably going to laugh at me because there's either the 90-pound weakling that's trying to work out or there's the heifer that's trying to work out, both of which are trying to do something positive and healthy for their body. And you walk in and see the god and goddesses in there, all chiseled out because most of the time they probably are taking drugs to get to that body. And there you go. And so it's intimidating. So it's great when you have this guy who comes along and he says, don't be shaming people by taking pictures and videos of them.
Yeah. And he even points out, like, people who fail, it's like, we all fail. We've all failed at some point. And the point is to not stop. It's to keep going.
Right.
You couldn't lift up that weight. That's not a big deal.
Right.
Try again or take a step back, work your way back up. I mean, I've been there where I took some time off and, the weight that I used to be able to lift, it's like, now it's hard. It's like, take a step back, lower the weight, work your way back up. It's the best feeling in the world to max out.
Right.
Every time.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if somebody happened to have a camera on me when I fell off the treadmill. But, that was just, fun for those who were there that day to see that. So.
You really fell off a treadmill?
Well, it was an incident that I don't want to relive. But anyhow, you know that I'm a klutz, okay? You know that about me.
Were you walking or running?
I think I was trying to get it, in a more running position. And, I think my feet got twisted up and I fell. Yes, thank you. So I appreciate the, yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah, I probably would leave that gym forever if I did that.
I didn't go back.
Nor should you.
No.
I mean, you'd probably be remembered as that.
Anyhow, shut up.
So basically the message is, yes, gym positivity, support one another, be that person.
Right.
Be the person who lifts other people up.
Right.
Not down.
And if you happen to find a Santa Claus in January working out, maybe don't take a picture of him and post it on social, but you can at least go up and thank him for the gifts that you possibly have gotten.
Or better yet, make friends with him starting January.
So to work on it for December.
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually very proactive.
You got to play the long game.
I love that. Well, I think we have hopefully done a relatively entertaining first episode podcast of POS.
Yeah. Now just let the endorsements flow.
Yeah, because
right?
they're going to just slide right in.
Yeah. Got to get in on that action.
So, okay, well, we're going to work on already. In fact, I already have an idea of one POS that I want to do on our next podcast. I think, yes, I just came up right in the middle of while we were talking here. So
you want to tease it? Little tease?
No, because it just popped out of my head, so I have to try to remember it again. Oh. But it's a good one. It's a good one. I'm telling you, it is. So
okay, well, I guess I'll have to tune into the next one then.
You will have to tune in. It will be something that will be captivating for sure.
I'm titillated already.
Oh God, let's not use those words. Okay.
Do we just end here, or do we bring in a theme song?
Or we just remind people: be good humans, don't be a POS.